Chapter 14. The module, I guess. Chapter 14. Sexual coercion and resiliency. Mhm. Sexual coercion, right? Definitely a problem. So differentiate between coercion and typical sexual behaviors. Molestation and sexual two concepts of sexual coercion: molestation and sexual exploitation. Right? Rape, obviously. The different forms of rape, the different descriptives of rape. I guess rape. When you get down to it, is this is rape, but there are different labels for different situations. All right. Um, and how culturally, how is that seen as coercive versus typical? Right? What my culture sees as typical or coercion is different than some other places around the world. Um, childhood sexual coercion. We'll talk about abuse and at the teenage level, sex work and sex trafficking. How do we recover sexual coercive behaviors, situations? As usual, there's your question. So, the acts of sexual violence committed against an unwilling or incapacitated individual. And we'll get there, right? So there's molestation, uh, when an adult abuses a child, sexual exploitation, the abuse of children and adults through the exchange of sex or sexual acts for food, drugs, money, etc., protection. Um, though it is always has detrimental effects, I'm going to say it may or may not be illegal. So we have a definition of rape, right? Um, a legal definition of rape. Mhm. And unfortunately, right, 17.6% of women have been raped at some point in their lifetime. A horrible statistic. Female victims are more likely to be raped by somebody they know. And I'm pretty sure that's one of your discussion questions. Uh, rates of sexual assault, and obviously it changes over time, the course of time, and this only goes up to 16. Half a million, over half a million sexual assaults between 93 and 94. Six. It was almost a half a million sexual assaults, the same, and 300,000 and 250 outrageous number. And that's just reported, right? Because a lot of it goes unreported. You'll see rape reported in surveys, rapes reported to the police. See, this is the small thing. It's like the iceberg under the water. Like it's totally not disclosed. Your questions, date rape. Is a common occurrence, unfortunately, particularly in college campuses. Um, So, you just go out and you say no, and they say yes, and they force you, they do physically force themselves on you, or they've drugged you. So, these are the results, right? Major depression, substance use, suicide, eating disorders, all the psychological manifestations that occur from date rape, or rape of any kind. And so you have to do these are the things that people feel and have to deal with: post traumatic stress disorder, As I said, college campuses, a lot of it has to do with the first time, maybe the first time, but a lot of alcohol use and drug use on college campuses, whether it's your first experiment or not. Then in the clubs and the bars and even in frat party, college party, all that, date rape drugs, right? Roofies, GHA, and ketamine. Ketamine's actually an animal tranquilizer. So, right, here's all the things they tell people, I told my daughters, like, if you're in the bar, don't ever, keep your drink with you. If you didn't, if you left it by itself, or you left it with a friend and they walked away, dump it and get a new one. Uh, you know, all kinds of things. Don't take any drinks from people like if you're at a concert, you don't even take a bottle of water from somebody that's been opened. Right? Yes, assignment. There we go. Marital rape. So I force my wife to have sex when she doesn't want to. Like I said, culturally, it's often not considered real rape, but it is a crime. It is rape, right? If I force somebody to have sex who doesn't want to have sex, it's rape. Prison life is a whole nother story, and often just tolerated, I guess is the best word. Then oftentimes, especially, I don't so much now, but still, it happens. Or if you report a rape and you go to trial, the defense attorney is going to do their best to blame it on you. You address provocatively, you led somebody on, none of which matters. Like right up to the point, you can say no at any point in time, right? So whatever happens prior to that is unfortunately not inconsequential because in court it becomes a big issue, including like your past life, all of that stuff. So victim blaming is a lot why people don't report. It's a lot why people are afraid. Oftentimes the doubt is set on the victim, etc. And it comes throughout the world, right? War-torn countries, it becomes a huge, huge issue. Different societies, right? Women have different rights, and gay couples have no rights or different rights in places. So if they are abused or coerced, very little, if anything, happens. Rape-prone societies. Uh, Rape myths are accepted, right? It's the woman's fault. Women don't have equal, I just said all this, right? Male violence is tolerated. So all of this is seen as normal in some places. Hopefully, some areas of the non-Western world, meaning not us, right, reveal sexual cultures that are reportedly free of rape based on, um, and they're usually very tight communities. Perpetrators or target. It could be men or women. Men get raped by women too. Let's make this clear. They are much more less likely to report it, but it does happen. These are characteristics of sex people that are sexually coercive to others, right? So they're hostile, their attitudes towards the women, it says women here, but it could be the same sex depending on who they're attracted to. Um, Negative attitudes about NC, peer groups accept rape, and they typically have low self esteem. Mm. Uh, oh, here we go. Although limited, research on adult women offenders suggests these characteristics. They have mental health systems, they have difficulty in intimate relationships, They tend to commit offenses against persons who are related or otherwise well known, right? So we talked about rape, right? And oftentimes they have a male partner and they partner with somebody. And obviously, women not only rape men, but they rape women too. And then in women's prisons, that's a huge thing. We did talked about prisons a minute ago. More questions, survivors, right? Um, this is a huge thing. Like we said, a lot of emotional issues, a lot of growth issues due to abuse of some kind. PTSD is a huge factor, right? So here's some other forms of coercion. Sorry. Childhood sexual abuse. We talked about this before, I think, right? But touching, um, adults touching or having sex with children. And here's some relationships about who it is. And most of these are caregivers or relations of some kind. Uh, so this is how you find out, right? But we have, you see nonverbal. In therapy, there's a lot of nonverbal cues that you see in children that you need to pick up on too. And doctors and, all the people that normally things. So you'll see all these. These are cues that the child is being abused. Um, online, right? I think I talked about this before too, how easily it is to groom somebody. Grooming is how you get somebody, and you see it all the time. Somebody leaves home to be with somebody who got to talk them into it online. Next thing you know, they're sex trafficked or sex workers or worse. Mm. Incest, we don't talk about this much. But it does happen. Sexual activity between family members and closely blood relatives, which is causes a whole lot of other problems. Child pornography, another issue that is now due to being online, has just exploded. Mhm. Um, Sexual harassment. If you're in a workplace of any kind, I'm sure you get this training every year or once every 2 years, depending on your position, right? So quid pro quo, meaning I'll do something for you if you have sex with me. And then, of course, just a hostile work environment. Um, it could be as much as people hanging pictures that are inappropriate in a shared work area, etc. That kind of, or it could be downright verbal abuse, verbal communication that's inappropriate. Sexual harassment, right? That's why I said using language that's inappropriate, talking inappropriate sex topics at work, pressuring people to go out with you. Mm. And we're going to talk about this touching, in a deliberate touching that's unwanted. And then next chapter, there's a little bit about that. Uh, all the different things, sexual harassment, right? And everybody has a different tolerance level of this too. Right. So somebody may so it says it looking a person up and down, and somebody may take that as harassment. Somebody else may just laugh it off. Right. So it doesn't. A man can harass another man, or a woman can harass another woman. Right. When same sex harassment does occur. Mm. Teen dating violence. Right. So physically abusive relationships among teens. It happens all the time. And unfortunately, it's either a continuing trend where one or both parties were brought up in a domestic violence type situation, because that's what teen dating violence is. It's domestic violence. So it could just be a continuation of a pattern of generational abuse, or it could just be something new. Bullying, trying to get somebody, it's the same thing. It's coercion. It's just bullying. It's a way to get something. Here's all the different forms of teenage sexual violence. I talked about physical violence, but there's many other things that happen. Sex work or prostitution versus sex trafficking. Uh, so, sex work versus, I don't want to say voluntary, versus sex trafficking, in which people are held captive. But, and there's in sex trafficking, there's nothing on the person's terms. In sex work, a person can choose to be an escort, choose to be, or try to be in a, different ways to go about sex work, especially in other countries. Um, but sex trafficking means you've basically been kidnapped, you're held prisoner, and are forced to do whatever is thrown your way. Um, and of course, obviously, many people feel forced into sex work because of poverty, corruption, exploitation. Survival sex, right? I need to eat. In some places, sex workers have rights, like I said, in Denmark and different countries, particularly in the Scandinavian countries. It's a profession and it's a legal profession, and they have rights. And even in San Francisco, uh, there was a union for prostitutes, and there has been around. And look in Nevada, like brothels have been in Nevada forever. It's illegal, and they have rights, and they're employees, right? Then I talked about sex trafficking. This is a huge, like, so I think I've talked before about the I-5 corridor here and what that means to sex trafficking and how that does that. And then right to 80, right, and all the way east and west across the country, and all north and south up and down the coast. Being in the hub of those highways in the valley, um, sex trafficking is a huge issue. And so then, of course, if you do manage to escape these lifestyles, what is your resiliency like? How how able are you to bounce back into some a more average, normal? I don't like the word normal, but a more average existence. And how do you cope with what's happened to you? Resiliency is a huge part of growing, living, not just from this, but from all types of setbacks. How do you bounce back from bad things happening to you? Obviously, women that have been raped, some can come, have a normal sex life. Many do not after that, right? What is rape? Where have you ever witnessed sexual coercion? Uh, have you seen sexual harassment? And how do you respond? How would you personally respond to sexual coercion? How have you responded? You know, many many people have, their first sexual experience. Obviously, people are like, it's all coercion, right? If I'm trying to have sex with somebody, I am behaving in a way. It doesn't, like anything, the word coercion, I am manipulating people. Am I doing it in a healthy way or an unhealthy way? Right? Coercion is a form of manipulation. Can be a vicious form of manipulation, or it could just be a thing. Uh, there's force, pressure. People pressure you into having sex with them, or they force you to have sex. Right? There's a lot of different levels. Resiliency, though, is a very important part of life, particularly in this situation, but in life in general. And so, in that sense, this is a short little question about how resilient you are. Right? Here's 5 questions, rated 0 to 4. Not true at all, rarely true, sometimes true, often true, true nearly all the time. How am I able to adapt to change? How do I handle unexpected events? And be honest with yourself. Because you can build resiliency. You do build resiliency. People build it, but you can also run out of it if you don't take care of yourself. Right? If you don't take care of yourself between negative experiences, and rebuild that resiliency, restore that resiliency, maintain that resiliency, people run out. Anyway, another one just for you to do for yourself and see where you think you land. All right. So that's that for chapter 14, and on to 15, our last chapter.